Sorry?
So welcome back to the HowDoYouHave Workshop 2020, to our second talk of the day by Hugo Herbelin on investigations into syntactic iterated parametricity and cubical type theory.
Okay, so so this talk is about let's say a syntactic approach of the models of cubical type theory, which happen to be of the same kind of the model of parametric type theory as in Bernardy Coquant-Moulin, for instance. So this is in a line of work in which we have, for instance, the one groupoid model of Sozo-Tabarrò, or setoid model, syntactic model for setoid, or the model of Barras-Coquant-Hébert. So the point is to make translation from type theory to type theory, and the target will be ETT, because we shall need strict equality. It can be ETT or ITT plus axioms for strict equality. So this is work in progress. So they were taught by Hugo Muntler last year in Pittsburgh. So it was, we didn't work for several months, and we started again a few months ago. So it's not fully complete yet, but we expect to have good properties with this model, with this interpretation. I want also to apologize that I don't follow very closely always the news about OTT, and in particular the relation between parametricity and cubical type theory. So I don't know what is the current consensus. So maybe I apologize if I say things which looks trivial. I don't know. So yes, I mentioned in the last paragraph that by working in using translation, we expect also to escape issue like the property of the meta language, like set theory, being intrusive in the properties of the model. So it's we call it iterated parametricity. So it's basically the standard parametricity translation. So I think the vocabulary maybe differ from place to place. So it's a kind of realizability. So like Moulin, Bernardy, Coquant parametricity, but here we mean with two relation, not predicates. And there is a view, I don't know if it's a standard view or not, but the view is that looking at parametricity translation is the same as looking at a Presheaf model through the Grothendieck correspondence between fibered and indexed category. So instead of having sets which are related with maps, the faces, also degeneracies, so here the faces are what is important. We work with dependent type. So we somehow work by considering a cubical set defined in a dependently typed way. So for those we know, like I did for semi-simplicial types a couple of years ago. So this means that instead of having a set of points, a set of segments, a set of square, we have here a set of points, and the set of segments contains the information of the point on which they depend on. So it's a relation over points. And the squares are a relation over 4 points, the 4 points here, and 4 segments between these 4 points. So the segments are here, so then we cross in both directions the dependencies, and so on and so on. And you can imagine that this makes a horrible huge, very complex dependently typed constructions. And the main part of the talk is to describe concretely what is the structure of types, and out of this structure to make a translation. So then third slide to explain the third part of the title, so cubical type theory. So as I said, we adopt the view that parametric type theory and cubical type theory are incarnation of the same kind of type theory with a cubical equality. And by cubical equality, we mean this equality with constructor abstraction over variable of dimension. I don't know if I should say dimension or variable of axis or variable of direction. So with this abstraction over this variable, and the difference between parametric type theory and cubical type theory, but I think it's common because it's explicit, for instance, in Cavallo-Harper paper, that it depends on the structure we put on top of this cubical equality, whether it's just a bridge, just a relation, or if it's something more complex like an equivalence. And for equivalence, we rely on this very nice definition that was advocated in Altenkirch Kaposi paper also a few years ago, which is to see an equivalence not as a map, but as a relation. And in this sense, an equivalence is just a refinement of a bridge. It's a bridge with extra structure, and the extra structure is precisely to have a map in one's a way to complete open boxes in one way and in the other way. So these two properties somehow say that it's a relation together on this with a property that of a tubes in which you can fill one side of the tube if you know the other side. And so our construction also is parameterized rather, in the sense that we can have the Cartesian structure or the symmetric structure or not. So adding this, so we didn't carefully look at it yet. This shall be a next step, but a priori this is optional, like it has been studied in many papers, one by Chris, if I remember correctly, on the header. In our translation, so we have a definition of cubical sets. And these cubical sets then are a sequence of these sets, a set of points, a set of segments over the points, a set of square over the segments and point, and so on. So this is an infinite sequence of relation. So it's defined as a stream of this relation. But these relations are highly dependent. So this is a dependent stream. Each relation depends on the previous. The relation at level n plus 1 depends on the relation already stated at the previous dimension. So on this definition, this is a stream, so depend, actually this is just a limit of a construction, which is actually the real construction, which is a construction of truncated cubical sets, and which describe also this structure A0, A1, A2, and so on. So this is just also a finite list of such relation, but where we see that here the relation at level n is it's a relation which will describe the interior of a box. So we have to define a box. What is a box over a set of relation up to some level. So we have here a definition of a full box, which I will describe later. So this construction is the main part, which just characterizes the semi-cubical structure only with faces, but we can add other structures. So we started to add reflexivity, so as to interpret internal parametricity and to interpret the lambda I of cubical type theory. So we need also another ingredient because of dependency, which is a notion of cubical set depending over a cubical set. So this follows the previous definition. So I will enter less into the detail, but it starts already to be a lot of syntax. But basically, this is the same construction as before with the stream. And the stream is made incrementally with a dependency on what has been built before. And the main part is a definition of truncated dependent cubical sets, which are the same as the cubical set, except that the relation here, we can see that the relation has a dependency in a cube. A cube is a full box together with a filler of the box. This is what this means, because we have a box. We have here a relation over this box, so we can consider the filling. And this is a way to express that we quantify the relation over a cube. And it's highly dependent, so we need an application of dependent cubical set to a box and so on. So it's a lot of definition. I will not describe them. Then we see it here. Just there is this small HET, which says that at some time we need to consider heterogeneous box. So it happens that in the construction we have then both homogeneous box and heterogeneous box. So basically we have the main component of the structure are these four kinds of objects. So the cubical set, which are this relation over a given type of point. But we have for this relation we can consider cubes over these cubical sets. But we can also consider, and we need to do that when we have dependent cubical set, to consider heterogeneous cubes where each point of the cube is in a different type. So this means that heterogeneous cubes are typed point by point, segment by segment, square by square, in a cube of type. And a cube of type is necessarily homogeneous because all types live in the universe. So it's the same type for all types of a cube of type. And then we see that, so there is the commutation of this square involved, that a cubical set can be mapped into a n cube of types. Just you take A for all points, the relation over A for all segments and so on. And if you consider n cube, an heterogeneous n cube over an n cube of types made from a cubical set, you get the same as if you take an homogeneous cube that you embed as an heterogeneous one. So these are the four core constructions which happen. So then the basic idea then for the construction is that a context with p dimension variables will be interpreted as a cube of dimension p of cubical sets. And this requires being able to tell the sigma type of a cubical set and of a dependent cubical set, and more generally to be able to turn boxes of cubical sets into a cubical sets of boxes. So these are something I will not detail more because we also it's really something we are working currently. So let me talk about the bits of the construction. The idea to build these boxes and cubes is to decompose boxes and cubes as layers. So typically, an n box will be made of n layers, each layer being made of two opposite cubes. For instance, a 3 cube is made of two cubes, this is the first layer. It's made also of two other cubes, but which are partial because we already have the line here. We already have the line here, so we need to add a cube here, a side here, a face, but without this part because this part is already counted. So we need just this on the inner. So what is it? It's exactly a cube, one cube, a segment that we have stretched so that it fills all the place as a side here. And then the same to fill the last part of the cube. We take this time a 0 cube, so we add a 2 cube, a 1 cube, 2 cube, 2 1 cube, and then 2 0 cube. And this 0 cube, we stretch it in the two direction so as to fill just the inner because the sides are already there. So this is the basis to represent a cube on the box. So formally, this looks like this. So it's probably a bit frightening, but I will not enter the details, but basically it says that the full box is a list. This is a definition of a list of layers, and each layer is a pair of cubes. And the cubes is a cube stretch. So this is a way to say that it's stretch. And the important, so this is another way yeah. This is another way to describe the data in as how we represent here a square. A square is 2 lines plus a stretch line between the 2 lines. What is important here is the subbox because of course all this is highly dependent. So it cannot be any line which we add here. It has to be a line which connects points which are here. So we have a notion of subbox which extracts the relevant dependencies. And this subbox leads to a definition which again is recursive with the structure, working on the structure of layers and on the structure of boxes. And this subbox, because there are dependencies, at some times we need to show that two subbox, the subbox as our equivalent of faces for our construction, we have to show that subboxes commute when you take subboxes in different directions. So you have a coherence proof that boxes commute. By this arrow, I mean its transport. I mean that we rewrite a proof of commutation of subbox so that to adjust the type. So then similarly, we have another construction with so to prove coherence box, which says that a subbox, so the relevant direction here is Q and R, and it's stratified. So there is a P for each layer. but the relevant, this says that its commute subbox along direction Q and the subbox on direction R commutes. And this is where it's important to be in ETT, because if we try to prove this, as usual, as you know, we need an extra coherence condition over the commutation of proofs of commutation of boxes. But we cut this by living in ETT the same way we would cut it by living in set theory. So then this skeleton with boxes, layer, and cubes, we have it everywhere for every bit of the global structure. So for defining the cube of types, the heterogeneous cubes, the degeneracies, the dependent cubical sets. So I skip it. You can imagine that it makes a very big and discouraging construction, but we think works. And we are thinking at how we could make more compact. And how many time do I have? It's almost time. So I think that's it. Yes, I think that's it. So when completed, we expect to have what I would call the perfect match between the indexed view at cubical sets, where we don't see them as presheaves, but we see them as a dependently typed cubical set, and a correspondence then of this with iterated parametricity translation. And as it was already suggested in Altenkirch-Kaposi, but they discovered that there were many problems by doing this. This comes quite involved, and this is what we are trying to do. So a consequence also of this is that we don't prove it yet, but that we will have definitional bridge or definitional equivalence if we take the bridge definition, or if we take the definition of equality in the universe as being equivalence. That it will not be syntactically the same, but it will be provably, by induction on the dimension, provably the same. And so then we believe that we would not need to mediate through the glue type or glue constructor of the glue type on gel, on weld, and so on. And the functional extensionality is more delicate, at least in the non-Cartesian case. I think we will have a definitional functional extensionality, but the contraction seems to be more complicated, as was, I think, in paper by Harper also, it was studied. And so, yes, we hope regularity also. And there is we believe that this would scale, but I think it's already scaled. I mean, in many papers already there are variants of this definition which are considered, so there is no reason it does not apply here also. And there is a work in progress paper which will stay for a while until there is a complete one at this URL. And I'm done.
Thank you very much, Hugo. Let's give a round of silent applause. We have 1 or 2 minutes for a question. Please raise your hand if you have any question. I have one question. There is a tiny element of co-induction in there. I saw some heads and tails. Can you say something about the role of co-induction in this translation?
Yes, co-induction is crucial. I don't know how to do without co-induction, because we need functions. We need functions over natural numbers where each element is dependent on the previous value of the function. So the natural structure for that is the streams.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? No? Then thanks a lot again, Hugo. And we have a tiny